Thank you, Speaker. I was finding it hard to get the words to seek leave because of the hypocrisy that I just heard, hearing members of the now opposition, former Liberal government, standing up saying, please, we just want our buses back. Our community want our buses back. Who destroyed the bus network in New South Wales? It was them. It was them. It was them. Indeed, he was the Parliamentary Secretary for Transport. I just can't believe it. I find it unfathomable to even comprehend the idea that now we see members of a 12-year Liberal National Government coming in here, crying out with this level of, oh my goodness, I've got this problem in my local school. Oh my goodness, the community just wants to be able to catch a bus. Seriously. They caused this disaster. They caused this privatisation agenda, and the Greens thank the member for Swansea for bringing this motion to the chamber and acknowledge that this new Men's Labor government has brought into place a task force that will look at these things. Now, let's be clear. The task force is obviously necessary to look at the massive challenges ahead, but we need to be absolutely certain here that privatisation has failed, and anything other than a commitment from the new Men's Labor government to bring the buses back into public hands is unacceptable. We need to recognise that it's not enough to just critique privatisation. It is important to re-nationalise and to bring things back into public hands. And that is absolutely critical. When we talk about the idea of privatisation and the agenda, we talk about a scenario that has seen ongoing cancellations, constant delays, fewer services, longer travel times, and terrible outcomes for the workers. We also know that in the inner west, where we saw our buses privatised, we saw completely disastrous, dangerous and unsafe conditions. We got in our electorate office after they privatised buses phone calls from people on the back streets between Enmore Road and King Street. People might know it, very narrow streets. And people were running into panic thinking someone had stolen a bus because they had buses driving down their quiet back streets because the drivers had not been trained adequately and did not know the routes and were turning down side streets in the back of Newtown and Enmore. In addition to that, we have seen bus stop closures, and I look forward to the details of when the inner west and inner city bus consultation will be happening through the task force, and thank the Assistant Minister and Parliamentary Secretary for Transport for giving her commitment to informing us, as well as the Minister, so that we can ensure that our communities engage with that process. But let's be clear. While it's absolutely welcome that the bus task force remit will include engaging directly with communities and hearing the impact, it is not enough for this government to simply talk about the disastrous impacts of privatisation and deflect the blame and responsibility on those dudes behind us. In actual fact, what we need to do is have a commitment to bring responsibility for the buses back into public hands and our bus network back into public hands, because any public transport system that is run by private operators is going to be driven with a profit motive over and above the interests of the passengers, the families, the communities, the young people that want to use the bus services. Their priorities will always be different. And prioritising our bus network means they run for profit instead of a quality public transport system meeting the needs and delivering for our communities. If we're committed to the idea of creating jobs and to having a world-class public transport system in this state, we need to recognise the importance of keeping the system public, and I cannot urge that enough. I remember many years ago standing with the unions and with the Labor Party, committing that they were going to oppose the privatisation of the inner west buses, and we promised that we would be in here making sure that a new Labor government would make sure that our future buses were in public hands.